what you desired, you recognize that it wasn't in alignment with your heart's desire, which is where cognitive dissonance comes into play. How ideal was it to move in together?
Honestly, it was me. I was pushing to move in together. I was more so pushing for the engagement. I knew he wanted to get engaged. I know he wanted to be married, but it was definitely me who was more like, we have to be engaged before we get married. Or not get married. We have to be engaged if we're going to move in together. Like, I at least want that. If we're, his parents were so adamant on us being married before making that step.
Right.
And I'm sure now he's probably, kicking himself in the butt. Like, I should have listened, but I mean, we all,
I think it's good that we get an opportunity to learn from our decisions, learn from our mistakes.
Hey guys, welcome to Little Black But Night One. Real quick one. I'm not going to stay on here too long because I'm going to do a proper breakdown tomorrow. But I watched the interview, and let me just say this now. Everything I said previously in my other videos about the situation, I'm going to keep it exactly the same. She's unaccountable. It's that simple. Unaccountable. And I know some people are going to be new who are going to watch my content, are going to be screaming from the hilltops to try and back her. Don't back her. She's unaccountable. I'm going to tell you that straight. She's unaccountable. And there are a lot of people, men and women, who are like her. She's unaccountable. I'm not saying the man is innocent. He's got his own issues he has to deal with, and I can point that out, but she's unaccountable. Let me tell you why. The relationship that they built, she led it. She led the relationship, and then she wanted to flip it to make him lead while she had led it all the way up to this point. Okay? She wanted him to suddenly lead and change the way he operated while she had already taken over his position. She had usurped his position by leading the relationship, pushing through to them to stay together, pushing through to get engaged. And she keeps saying we, but it's a her. It's her. You know how I know that? Because this woman didn't even know why he worked so hard. She was not invested in this person the way she thinks she is. What she was invested in was the image of being in a relationship, being engaged, being married. She was invested in the idea. Okay, the man was a very handsome, good-looking man for her. Apparently, that's what she said, right? So she very much was interested in the idea without fully understanding what this thing that they were actually doing. And I'm going to tell you this: whenever you circumvent the process in relationships and you still get the right answer, just know that just because the answer is correct does not mean you should ignore the fact that your working out was very bad. Right? When you do a test and you get the right answer, but the working out was wrong, okay, you can do it once. But if you don't understand the principle, the next question comes up and you're gonna do the wrong answer. Right? You're gonna do the wrong answer because you don't have the process. And in this situation, there are many people, and when you're listening to this, I'm speaking probably to you or someone that you know, who circumvents processes when it comes to relationships. Why are we moving in without being fully married first? I'm gonna tell you why. Because your life is full of chaos and it's disordered, and you're willing to break boundaries and you're willing to do things out of order and then say, well, don't worry, we're going to get married anyway. These things, when you do them, they are pinpointing to your life being out of order emotionally and your impatience as to why you're in relationships where you are. Okay, so I'm not going to go too deep because, like I said, I want to do this tomorrow when I'm a bit more cognizant. But I'm going to go back to the very beginning, okay? Actually, no, let me play this little clip here, okay? I want to replay what she just said, okay? Whose idea was it to move in, even though his parents had told him, do not move in? Why was she so advocating for them to move in? If they were going to get married anyway, why did she advocate for them to move in together? It makes no sense, right? It makes no sense at all. If they were already going to get engaged, going to get married, why was she so impatient to want him to move in? Because she's full of disorder and chaos. And as a man, I'm here to tell you, don't ever let a woman take you out of your process and out of order. I'm here to tell you this now. Men are called to lead, women are called to follow. I don't care what the women say, they're going to be annoyed about it. It's not my business. I'm here to give you the truth and the realest things. The rest of you want to do things in a different way, that's your business. For those of you who understand what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. As a man specifically, and I've been here, so I know, whenever you know the right thing to do with a woman and the relationship you have, and you decide to go against the right thing to do, it always bites you in the ass. We see with Abraham in the Bible, okay, with Sarah, we see what happens. In the end, she blames him. right? So we see. So I'm being very, you know, I want you to pay attention to these things. But let's go back because there's some important information that needs to be said, right? In this space, I want to go back slightly to the very beginning. I want you to listen to this.
Together for 4 years.
Hold on. Okay.
When you made this decision consulting with the Holy Spirit. Is that an assumption I'm making?
No, not at all.
Okay. And so a lot of women desire marriage. A lot of women wait for the day that someone gets on their knee and propose to them. You had that moment. Was that the first time that's ever happened to you?
Ending an engagement?
No, having an engagement.
Yes, it was. Yes.
First time somebody ever proposed to you and you made the decision to end it. Why is this making you emotional?
We were together for 4 years. And I think when you enter relationships, you never enter it thinking that it's going to end. What makes it a lot harder, I think, is being online and sharing so much. You know, I share everything, my whole entire life. I shared when I tore my Achilles. I share everything. And so for me, my platform has always been about being authentic. And that meant also sharing, ending my engagement. And that in and of itself was really, really hard. And I also, you know, just having to share it publicly too. But that was a choice that I made. Being in social media is a choice that I made. That's a career that I chose to be in. And so when you're dealing with something so personal, but also it's public, it just makes it 10 times harder.
Now, the first piece of information you need to know, which is really important, is they were together for 4 years. They were together from when she was 27. She's not a small girl, and he's not a small boy. Okay? 27, and they were together for 4 years. Okay? Together for 4 years. 27 and together for 4 years. Right? And they moved in way earlier as well. Right? This is very important. So just bear that in mind. 4 years, you know, 27. This is what's happening, the relationship early on. This is really important information. Okay? All right? Now, I want to move it a little bit more forward in terms of like, because they ask her like why the relationship actually broke up.
Bring us up to speed if we're not aware of what happened.
It was never like one specific thing. I think when he and I met, I was so young. We were long distance. I was a news anchor in Waco, and he was living in Dallas.
Give us age. You say so young. What is that? How old are you?
I was, I think, 26 or 27.
Okay.
And so, well, I'm 31 now, so what's 31 minus 4?
Yeah.
So I was in Waco and we were long distance. And I think the things that I wanted in a relationship from a man at that time were very different than what it is today. And
well, let's pause it right here again. Another good piece of information, okay? She's let us know also that they were long distance. Now, this is really important. They were long distance in their relationship. They've been together for 4 years. They were long distance relationship. So at what point is it going to get to a point where they want to move in? Because at this point, the long distance, they're figuring things out. They're making the relationship go. Okay, all right. You know, okay. She said whatever she needs right now is different to what she needs 4 years ago. I'm not mad at it. This, as you know, I understand. I'm with this at this moment. Okay, let's continue onwards.
what it's been the last year. You know, we were so young, and we were honestly, like, the thing that I was so attracted to about him was that he was just so fun, and we connected on so many different things. We used to go to the gym together. Honestly, we were going out a lot, you know, just going out to the club and just living a fast life. And as I grew older, those things became less important to me. And I think the things that he and I connected on were no longer there. So we weren't going out. We weren't working out together. We were barely hanging out together and doing things that, you know, build emotional intimacy. So I think that was the biggest change, was he was no longer my best friend. He became my roommate.
And
this happens to couples, especially when, you know, in this situation, they've moved in well ahead of their time. You know, they're not married, they're engaged, and now the emotional connection begins to die. And the reason being, I think the emotional connection begins to wane is because the things that were making them connect, as she says, stopped happening and stopped connecting. They had different values for what they were looking for. I think that's part of the reason. Because when she goes into it deeper later on, which I won't go into it today, she explains a bit more. There's more that's happening. She then quit her job. She started beginning a business. He was doing his own business, and he was trying to pay. He was then paying all the bills, and I think what was happening also is a lot of self-betrayal on his part. Okay, I think where he started disconnecting from her is that he started realizing he's betraying his actual true self and what he truly wants to do. Right? His parents told him not to move in. He decided to do it anyway. He listened to a girl, and now he's in a situation. I'm going to be honest with you. I think she chose a very good-looking guy, but I also felt like she also had control in this relationship. I know it sounds wild, but she had a lot more control in this relationship. And I think what ended up also happening is that the gentleman, as he began to grow as well, he recognized the power dynamics between the two of them. She has a lot more power. And when I say power, what I mean by that is he's yielding too much to what she wants. And after a while, as a man, when you get to a place, if you start to feel like you're being controlled, or you feel like you're not actually leading, you can rebel. And the rebellion should be you communicate and say, hey, actually, I recognize that in a relationship, there's things that are going not the way that needs to go. And we need to change it now. If we don't, I'm going to find myself disconnecting. But instead of doing that, a lot of times what we can end up doing is passive aggressively removing ourselves from a relationship and stopping doing things for you. Because she goes on to say later on, he forgot her, like he didn't do anything for her birthday. He's not afraid. No. What happened was emotional disconnect, as she said. But if you notice, when you listen to this interview, there's nothing that she did wrong. There's nothing that she did. There's nothing that she did wrong. There's nothing that she contributed towards the failure of this relationship. Oh my God. Not one piece that she knew that she did wrong. And that's when I knew she's unaccountable. She's unaccountable. So like I said, she's unaccountable.
So y'all were actually, when you say roommate, y'all were actually living together at this time.
Yeah.
How long were y'all dating before y'all decided to move in with each other?
I believe 2 years. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.
Yes.
So when did you?
Why are we dating 2 years and then suddenly moving in? No, think about it. Why are we dating 2 years and then suddenly moving in? Why not get married first, then move in? You've done 2 years. Because you guys are sexing already. You're probably doing all the little things you shouldn't be doing. I get it. Listen, hey, I'm not here to judge. I'm merely stating what's happening in a relationship, right? You're doing everything beforehand. What's the point of getting married straight away? You're already drinking the cow's milk, my guy. You got me? You're already doing what you shouldn't be doing. So what's the point of actually getting married? You must just move in together, right? But you see that we're starting to do things out of order. And out of order is going to lead to the wrong answer. Okay? So 2 years in, we're now moving in. This is very important information again.
Relocate from Waco to Dallas?
In 2022.
In 2022. And so at what stage, y'all were engaged for 8 months before you called it off. Were there any, let's go back to the moment that we're going to go ahead and put this in reverse. How did y'all meet?
Now, this is very important because she moved from Waco to Dallas. And I think this is important because I'm wondering if she moved into her own flat first straight away, or she moved straight away into a house with him. Now, that's going to put instant pressure on the relationship because you're leaving people that you knew in Waco to come to Dallas. Do you have family there? Do you have friends there? Do you have other people there? This can become a little bit suffocating for a man if he doesn't talk up. You just moving over and now not having many friends or whatever, blah, 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 because we hear this later on that she says she then started to meet up with other women. And she said that the reason why she wanted to be with him is because she wanted to live inside of his skin, right? So I can see how this could be suffocating for somebody. Like I said, I'm going to do a full breakdown tomorrow where I can give you the clips all the way through. But this is giving that the man was suffocated, right? And when he was suffocated, maybe his also attachment style forced him to kind of pull away a little bit and not actually emotionally connected anymore.
Social media.
So I met on social media. Did you slide in his DM? Did he slide in yours? What was
I followed him on Instagram, and then I was kind of like waiting on him to slide in my DMs, and then he wouldn't. So I was like, I followed him for like 2 weeks, waiting for him to say something. And just when I was about to unfollow him, he messaged me, and he responded to a story of my Apple Watch, and it was me ending a workout. And I thought I was so slick. I was like, oh, something about let's do like a workout competition or something, but I need your number to.
Shots fired.
And so he gave me his number. And then I remember his area code was 816. So he was from Kansas City. And then that was kind of our connection there. And then honestly, it kind of just happened so fast. Yeah, I mean, he was exactly what I needed at that time.
The question is, what is it that she needed at that time? What is it that she needed at that time? They weren't serious. That's the truth. They weren't serious. They're playing around, right? It was a fun time. It was, you know, a good-looking man. You know what I'm saying? To have a bit of fun. It wasn't meant to be serious. It wasn't meant to get so deep, right, in a situation. Or at least she never made it overtly obvious that that's what she wanted, right? And because he said, obviously, you know, he was very sweet, very kind. You know, they drove to each other. He met the family on a family cruise. But she was single for a whole year before this, right? A whole year and a half. And I'm gonna play it forward. I'm gonna go a little bit forward, a little bit, just a little bit. You know what I mean? So we can get some good points.
That attracted you to him. You said y'all went out. He looked nice. Did you think further than that to say this is what I desire in a husband, or were you just here for? You wasn't even thinking like that.
Yeah,
It was more casual that progressively turned something more permanent.
I think so. I had been single for I think a year and a half before I met him, so I didn't think that it would turn into what it turned into. Honestly, I wasn't very intentional, I would say, but at the same time, I did know, you know, I wanted someone who was a man of God, who, you know, went to church. His family, he comes from a great family. He grew up going to church, and I knew I knew the things, but I don't think that I put emphasis on those things and really was like intentional in that. And so,
okay, so I think it's really important as well. I think it's really important because with what she just said, right? First and foremost, they were not being intentional. You know what you were doing? You were enjoying festivities. Let's be honest. You were enjoying festivities. See, I think again, and that's why I said to you when she first told a story, you need when people are not accountable for the things that they do, just know that there's more to the story. Right? Now, they started off in a way that wasn't intentional. She wasn't being intentional. There was fun. And it's okay. I'm not here to shoot you. It's not my business. But that already tells us we've already started in chaos. It wasn't intentional. It started off with a bit of fun. This is telling us, okay, all right. This is telling us straight away that this situation was going to start off with chaos. It's chaos. And people who start relationships with chaos, it's because they're used to chaos. I'm one of those people. I recognize it. That's why God had to sit me down and work me through it. I like chaos. What I mean by chaos, you like low stakes relationships. You like relationships where you don't put a label on it. Let's see how we go. Let's just flow. Let's have sex. And then, oh, by the way, I now like you all of a sudden, right? All of these are chaotic patterns of relationships. Oh, we were just friends. When you know you weren't friends, you like the person. Like, these are chaotic patterns. They're not orderly. They're not intentional. And so you may get the end goal, the marriage. But because the working out is poor, you're going to carry on the working out into your marriage because you've not learned the critical skills that are needed to maintain this relationship appropriately. You're used to cutting corners. You're used to chaos. You're used to a mess and trying to make the best out of the mess rather than being orderly and principled. Most times it's always going to end badly because you need to learn the lessons and you don't because you're used to chaos.
Oh, in the 4 years we've been together, I can count on one hand how many times he and I went to church together. So I said I wanted that, but I also wasn't intentional in, you know, making that effort, I think. And so now, as a 31-year-old woman, and I'm really, you know, looking for alignment in my relationships, even with friends, not just romantic relationships either. I am very, like, I know exactly what it is I want.
And what is that?
I want emotional intimacy, emotional safety, connection. Definitely 100%. I have to have spiritual transparency and definitely just be equally yoked. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like 100%.
This is what I wanted. I wanted a man of God. I wanted this. And you admitted that what you desired, you recognized that it wasn't in alignment with your heart's desire, which is where cognitive dissonance comes into play. To elaborate more on that is this. Whose ideal was it to move in together?
Honestly, it was me. I was pushing to move in together. I was more so pushing for the engagement. I knew he wanted to get engaged. I know he wanted to be married, but it was definitely me who was more like, we have to be engaged before we get married. Or not get married. We have to be engaged if we're going to move in together. Like, I at least want that. If we're, his parents were so adamant on us being married before making that step.
Right.
And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. By the way, this is not we're not saying this to condemn her, but it's not a condemnation. What I'm saying to you is that don't come out and tell a story and only tell half the story. Because now we've got a whole bunch of women in a comment section saying, yes, girl, you can change your mind. But this is actually not about changing your mind. You can change your mind at any time. I've got no problem with that. I'm not aiming at whether you change your mind or not. It's got nothing to do with changing your mind. It's about the patterns that are chaos that you're existing in. Too many people, and I've been there, so I know. I can tell you, as somebody who lived in chaos, I can recognize somebody who lives in chaos who's not orderly, because the things that they do are not orderly. It doesn't make sense. When you listen to it, you're like, that doesn't make sense. What she just said did not make sense. First and foremost, she chased this man. All right, cool. Number two, the second thing is, what do you mean that we need to be engaged before we move in? Why? Why would you need, if you know as a woman of God, you should be married before you even move in. It tells us already about the relationship you have with God already, number one. Number two, it tells us about the priorities that you have. You're willing to put your pleasure and your needs above order. It tells us this. Number three, you better learn the lesson now. That's what it is, right? But what she says is confusing. And it's confusing because, again, your emotional, and this is when I say disorder, your life in business, your life in career, your life with money, those can be fine. We're talking about your emotional spectrum. A lot of people are disorganized. And that's why I said that when she's telling this story, we have too many women say you can change your mind. It's not about changing your mind. It's about paying attention to what she actually says. If you listen carefully, you'll listen to what really, really happened. Listen again.
Engagement. I knew he wanted to get engaged. I know he wanted to be married, but it was definitely me.
Pause. I'm telling you now, yes, he wanted to get engaged, but not the way that you were doing it. She knows, by the way she just framed that, she led that whole situation. And whenever a woman leads an engagement to marriage, it's more than likely going to cause chaos. It's out of order. If one thing you're going to hear from me on this video is don't do things out of order. As the woman, call it patriarchy if you want to call it, I don't give a heck. You trying to lead the marriage aspect is always going to give you a hard time long term. She said, oh, I know he wanted to get engaged. No, you wanted to get engaged. I'm not saying you didn't want to get engaged, but you led it. And he agreed with you rather than being something that actually he wanted to actually do. Now, I want to get married to you. Seems like he too was also following your lead. And that's his biggest problem. He's going to have to learn. I've been there, so I know, bro. I've been there myself. I know. And you know why he probably didn't want to get married to her? Because he knew it was wrong. Oh, no. Most times, deep down in your heart, as a man and as a woman, but let me tell you about the man, he knew something wasn't quite right. But you know what it is? I've been there, and again, I've been there. I've done a little bit of an engagement thing when I was younger, so I know. I did it because I thought I've made a bed. I need to lie in it, bro. You know what I mean? I've been having sex with this girl for how many years? I better get married. Right? When she suggested it, I was like, oh, okay, cool. It was going to be the worst mistake of my entire life. She too was leading that situation, but I'm not aware of that because, again, I'm thinking, oh, no, I'm good. But you're not ready. You're not deeping it. Yeah? You're not deeping it. That she was leading this relationship.
Who was more like, we have to be engaged before we get married. Not get married. We have to be engaged if we're going to move in together. Like, I at least want that. If we're, his parents were so adamant on us being married before making that step.
Now, why is she so adamant on the engagement before moving in? Why was even moving in an option? Why not just get engaged and get married and then move in? What is the rush? His parents, do you know what? His parents' disagreement with the issue was so strong. She's now telling us this, which means it was a very big thing. Because if it had been like, oh, the parents were like, well, we don't like it, but we know you two are good for it, she wouldn't be talking about it, right? The fact is they were pushing back on it big time. And this was another indication that the man was not leading this relationship and she was. To the point that she got him to get engaged and to move in against his parents' wishes. I'm telling you, she was leading that relationship. He will regret making this mistake. He will, for sure.
Right.
And I'm sure now he's probably, kicking himself in the butt, like, I should have listened, but I mean, we all,
I think it's good that we get an opportunity to learn from our decisions, learn from our mistakes. Like I said, you're only 31 years old. As the old folks say, just keep living. That's what I would say, just keep living. But the reality, and I'm glad that you're giving voice to this, because he had influence around him. Parents that said, hey, you might want to be married before you start playing house, as we used to say. And then you say, well, no, we're going to move together. You admit that you pushed let's live together. And he's like, see. And the thing about it is this, and I want every man to understand this part. And this is what leadership is. Leadership is saying, hey, I know you were pushing for us to move together, but no. You said you want a man of God. This is how a man of God does. I'm not shacking up with you. I created that as a moniker for my podcast to literally say, it's a fun way of saying, I know you're watching the podcast. A lot of people watch the podcast, but they don't make a commitment to just hit the free little thing to subscribe. And that's what we do in these relationships. We don't subscribe. We won't get married. We won't go to that next step, but we want all the benefits of it. We want to watch, entertain, do all the other stuff with the people we're dating, but then we don't want to make that full-time commitment. So it's interesting that that's how my podcast has started out. And then this is what your lived experience is. You said, hey, listen, his parents said, don't do this. I know he's probably kicking himself in the butt for making that happen. What made you desire that though? What made you desire? You said, hey, I know you want to marry me, but let's live together first.
Yeah. I just loved him.
You just want to be
I just wanted to be, I wanted to be in his skin. Like, so.
And this response is how I knew that she had trauma. That's not a normal response. I'm here to tell you that's not a normal response. Let me say it one more time. It's not a normal response. She was a career-driven woman. Okay, a career-driven woman. She had her own career, had dreams, aspirations. Suddenly, she meets this good-looking man and she wants to live in his skin to a point where she's willing to get engaged, move in before getting married. I'm here to tell you that is a great sign of trauma and a great sign that you've seen some stuff in your life and growing up that have not aligned with order. It doesn't align with order. So, and we know that, I know that because I listened to the whole interview. The way her parents do marriage is the biggest sign of trauma, I believe. I think there's something deeper with her parents. I think she loves his parents because his parents have order and she was seeking order. The problem is that young man has not come into his own just yet and could not replicate the order. I think she sought this man. I think she decided to knuckle down this man because this man comes from a place of order. You can tell because his parents got involved and were like, no, don't get married. Don't move in yet. Just get married first. He comes from a place of order, but he himself is not yet ordered, meaning that probably something that he also saw in his parents' marriage has also affected him in a particular way. That means that he does not follow the pattern, therefore. Now, someone could say they're young. I don't think that's to do with young. I think that's to do with the fact that you saw something that makes you now betray your own order. I know that. I come from a two-parent household and we're very strict on certain things. But when I got into love, that emotional side of me is immature. So when it comes to being orderly, I recognize that I put things out of order. And that comes not because you're young. It comes because you yourself are disordered emotionally within. And this relationship is only pulling out what was already inside of you. It's not bringing out anything new. Okay.
Oh yeah, we moved in together and it just seemed like we were on track we were talking about marriage. And at the time, we were so locked in, like we were going to get married. So, we might skip a step, but it's going to happen. Yeah. So we really felt that way. And we were so, like I said, we were having those conversations about marriage and it just felt like
it felt right.
It felt right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel like we were rushing it.
How can it feel right? How can it feel right? As a woman of God, how can it feel right? No, she knows, and we know. You know that moving in is not something that's of a woman or a man of God. So how did it feel right? Because that situation linked up with any past wounds you have and took you out of order. That's all. It's not a beef. It means what she has witnessed as a young child growing up is disorder. That disorder links up with a situation where you can achieve your goal by cutting a corner. I want to really focus on that for anybody listening to this. That's what I'm focusing on. Forget about whether she's allowed to say she can quit. I'm happy she quit the engagement. I'm not even mad at it. What I'm telling you is focus on the process and pay attention. Because the disorder in the process is highlighting your dysfunction within yourself. And your choices and your determination of behaviors and actions are showing us you're dysfunctional emotionally. That's what's creating the actions. So she can say she was comfortable and she was okay. It makes no sense to us to why she's comfortable and okay, except that you know she comes from a place of trauma. And when you come from a place of trauma, that is okay. It's perfectly fine.
And actually, I tore my Achilles right before. So it kind of came around the right time because my lease ended. I couldn't go up and down stairs and elevators and stuff. So us moving in together, it honestly was helpful in that way too.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like life that happened.
What did your parents say about the whole like moving in together?
They really didn't have any kind of pushback on it.
Mm-hmm.
They trust me to make good decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they felt like if I was making that decision, I was making that decision from a good place or, you know, whatever the case might be. So they didn't really have the same pushback the way his parents did. But also my parents are much younger.
Okay.
And so, you know, they come from a different time, different place and era where, you know, that's not a thing. So
Mm-hmm.
You said your parents, or you said his parents are like that.
my parents are much younger.
So they're cool with it.
So
Are
they're
they
a little
together?
bit more, my parents, yeah, they're together, but they live separated.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. Bingo! That's all you need to know. They're still married, but they live separately. Come again? Come freaking again? They're married, but they live separately. And that's why she can move in and not be married. That's why. And I'm here telling you this because this is why I'm saying that again, without that man holding her to account, she's run riot, bro. I'm just gonna be real with you. You may not like what I'm saying, but I'm keeping it a buck. Without that man keeping her accountable, she's run riot, bro. And now you're gonna get the blame. That's part of a leadership. That's part of leadership.
Different time, different place and era where, you know, that's not a thing. So
Mm-hmm.
you said your parents, or you said his parents are like that.
my parents are much younger.
So they're cool with it.
So
Are
they're
they
a little
together?
bit more, my parents,
Yeah.
they're together, but they live separated.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're married.
They're married.
And so when y'all moved together, felt like it's the best decision, would you do it again? Next person that God brings into your life, would you cohabitate before y'all even get married? What are your views about that?
My good sis hasn't even learned, bro. My good sis hasn't even learned, bro. My good sis hasn't even learned, bro. Truly forever. I hear it. I definitely hear it. But more than likely, that long distance energy usually, especially because obviously I don't know the past of it. They might have previously lived together in it. But this told me all I need to know. I said, there's something else happening here. And that when I see that, I think to myself, that's two people that can't cohabitate because you can't emotionally be in the same space. I love my space too, but the whole point of relationship is to give up not your personal space, but to give up the independence. You are now interdependent. And people that can't give up their independence will tell us, let me live in two different houses. We're a generation that are screaming that. And we can tell because our relationships are doing that. Okay? We're a generation that are starting to do that where it's like, I want my own house. I want my thing. And what you don't realize is you are an independent spirit telling us you want to be in a relationship. You want the best of both worlds. And unfortunately, relationships are going to crowd your independence. You can't have independence because in a relationship, you can have autonomy, but you can't have the independence. You're going to be interdependent. Everything you do will affect your partner. You're not free of those things. So again, understandably, if you are business-wise, I get it, I hear it, blah, 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 blah. But even people that are on the mission field take their women with them on the mission field, bro. You get me? Yeah? Unless you're in the army, it's kind of different. You get me? But we know what happens. That amount of distance that you have all the time, it's not healthy. Well, at least for us in the modern era anyway. You know what I mean? But, sorry, I cut across what she actually said. Did you notice that she couldn't answer the question about whether they should cohabitate?
And so when y'all moved together, felt like it's the best decision, would you do it again? Next person that God brings into your life, would you cohabitate before y'all even get married? What are your views about that?
I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not sure that if we weren't living together, that the issues that came about would have come about.
Right.
To know that that wasn't what was needed in marriage, I guess.
So let's be honest. This girl is a mixed bag of. Look, her faith is a mixed bag right now. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not saying she's not a Christian. I didn't say that. I said her faith right now is a mixed bag. Okay. And when I say no, she wasn't faith. Sorry, her character development within the faith needs more work. Because the answer should be no. Why? Because moving in will cause you to be in the space of fornication. I'm sorry, this is what it is. Again, this is about order. Look, I'm somebody who lived on the edge. So a couple of years ago, I could have told you, oh, you know, I get it, I understand it. I did, until your ass gets whooped. And when you get whooped, you only know order. When God whoops your ass, when he allows life to discipline you. The Bible says in Hebrews 12 verse 1, he said, Hebrews 12 verse 5, it talks about he chastises his children, bro. And we shouldn't be sad about it, because the chastisement is to bring us into alignment. Right? And so what I'm saying to you is the fact that she can't even tell you, like, I don't know about the moving in. She's even flipped the question, because now she's focused on the question about, if I didn't move in with him, I would have never been able to know the things I know about him. Do you get what I'm saying to you? The question is, how do you feel about cohabitating? Cohabitating. He never asked whether if you cohabitated, he said about how your feelings were around cohabitating. And this is what I'm saying about that lack of accountability. And it's, if you don't learn these things, it's going to keep hampering you, because you're going to keep going out of order. Right? You want a man of God? The man of God's going to hold you accountable. He should have told you, listen, we're not moving in, bro. And the behaviors you're exhibiting are actually worrying. This is not what I want to be seeing from you. And I've been there, so I know. I was on the edge. I used to call it CTE.
So I'm not 100% sure.
Are you comfortable sharing the issues?
Even one thing.
Yeah. I would say, I think.
And listen, before you answer, I'm going to tell you why that's important. My brothers, men, believe that women, you just can't please them. You can give the woman everything. Like, you even showed me a reel that somebody shared where you give this woman this, you go against your own core values, let them move in with you, and then you put a ring on their finger, and then she ups and leaves you for no reason. Like, men married and said, I've been married with my husband X amount of years. He is so perfect. He is so great. He takes care of me. He does. And it just gets very toxic. And so the Dear Future Wifey podcast tries to create a safe space for people to share the idiosyncrasies. Some flighty moment that I had. This is what I really experienced, and by no means uncover that, brother. But I'm just saying something that you felt, whether it was God that showed you or didn't, that said, this is what I felt that I couldn't live long term with.
Yeah. Okay. So I will say, when we first moved in together, I was working my full-time job as a news anchor.
Now, let me pause it right here. So you're telling me that God told her to get out of a relationship, and God never called her out about any of her behaviors? You're telling me the Holy Spirit told you to get out of the relationship, and he never called you out about any of your behaviors? Maybe it's too soon. Maybe it is too soon. Maybe I'm judging her by my own, tendency to self-reflect. But I'm sorry. So Holy Spirit, I'm not saying she's wrong about hearing the Holy Spirit saying get out. I'm saying to you, did he not highlight anything? to you. But then again, if you're fornicating and you've been fornicating for a long time, it is harder to hear. I'm just going to keep it a rock and keep it real. It is harder to hear because you're out of order. You know what I'm saying to you, right? But so far, we're 25 minutes in, and I've got to kind of stop this interview anyway. We're 25 minutes in, and we haven't heard an ounce of anything that she's done wrong. Even the moving in, she's still putting it on. Well, yeah, I said it, but, you know, nothing she's done so far. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. Maybe it's too soon, but nothing as of yet. Nothing self-reflective like, you know what? I recognize I did this one and this wasn't great. I should have done this better.
And then a year ago in September, we made the decision that it was best for me to leave the job. My contract had ended. They offered me to renew it, and we decided together that, okay, we're not going to do that anymore.
Now, I think this wording is important. I think this was a slip of the tongue. When she said we decided, I don't think we decided. I think you decided. I don't think we decided. I think you decided. And I think he felt like, I have to play this role. Because remember, we've already moved in when his parents have said no and got engaged. She pushed the idea. Now we're leaving our job. I can see why this man decided to do what he did. I'm seeing it now. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm seeing it now. Yeah, I'm seeing it now. You switched up on me, bro. I see it now. I see why the brother was suffering. He has to be accountable. Don't get twisted. But I can see it now. You mean to tell me driven, ambitious, and by the way, she does get into a business later on. So this is not, she's not a bum. That's not even what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that when we first started, we've gone from long distance, you now pushing for us to be going from now, want to get engaged, get engaged, and you're pushing me to go against my parents' wishes and to get engaged and move in with you. That's the first red flag. And I know his spirit was telling him, don't do it. But you know what? He liked her, or he loved her enough. And that's his problem. He liked her and loved her too much, more than himself. And that's a big problem for him, right? That's number one. And now, as we're now moving in, and this is her idea to, remember, it's her idea to move in. She's now pulling I don't want to be at work no more. I don't want to be at work no more. Just pull the rug underneath my feet. Okay, now we're putting you know what I mean? And if you're not also vocal, you may feel pressure like, okay, I have to support you. That's what I've been taught. That's what I've been taught to do. Okay, all right. No, because she's a working woman. She likes to work. She likes to work. I'm saying that in the meantime, it can feel like a flip. It can feel like a reversey. That in the meantime, it can feel like you're being pushed into something, right? So you get pushed into an engagement, you get pushed into moving together, and then you get pushed into a situation where she quits her job and you have to support her. Imagine a boyfriend says, I'm not going to pay the bills. He's between a rock and a hard place. He ain't got no choice, right? And that can feel painful. It's the fact that you might feel like you have no choice. Doesn't mean you don't have a choice. It can feel like you don't have a choice. At that point, that's why I know that he got his own trauma, because he couldn't speak up. And because he didn't speak up, he then started signing out. He started signing out.
So I started my own business, and he said that he would take care of everything financially. So that became the norm for our household. But I think...
So let me be honest with you. See the way she's telling the story? She said, oh, we decided I should quit my job. And then then what? Then he will end up paying all the bills. That doesn't sound odd to you? If he wanted her to quit the job, he should have just said, he wanted me to quit my job because he wanted to take care of me. He wanted those things to happen. He didn't want those things to happen. He never wanted those things to happen. That was thrust upon him. And when you're not vocal, it can feel very difficult because now there's a lot of pressure on you. Now the financial burden's all on you, right? And in this situation, I honestly feel like in this situation, I think he bought into the idea and did not recognize the weight of what he was actually saying. Because remember, they've moved in when they should not have moved in. Now you're taking on a so not only are you doing that, now you're taking on a financial burden that actually this should be something that you do when you're married. You're paying all the bills. You do that when you're married. You don't do that when you're not married yet. You're not married yet. Why are you paying all the bills? We're not even there yet. So already we're doing things in reverse. It's gonna hurt you.
In that, what got lost was the dating. So I think because he was paying all of the bills, it was like, okay, now I don't have to put an effort over here. And I don't think that in his mind he was thinking that way. I don't think that it was intentional or anything like that, but there was just no emotional intimacy. And so that's when I suggested that we go to couples therapy to try and, get.
Let me pause right here. He shut her out. I'm telling you the truth. I'm going to tell you, this is my personal opinion. The moment he started paying all the bills, he shut her out because he felt like she was taking advantage of him. I'm going to tell you the truth. Yeah. And that tells me that about his trauma because, again, he couldn't speak up. The moment he paid all the bills, he now felt like all the pressure is on me. Okay. All right. All the pressure's on me. And if I don't work hard, you don't get the lifestyle that you want. And my whole thing, and this is why I said his whole thing was, I don't want to disappoint her. And whenever you're a man and you're in a space of, I don't want to disappoint her, and I've been here too, so I'm telling you the truth of what I'm seeing, right? Whenever you're in a space of, I don't want to disappoint her, you will inevitably disappoint her. Yes, he agreed to it. Men, just like women, agree to things they don't really want to agree to. Yep. Men, just like women, will agree to things that they don't want to actually agree to because they're more afraid of losing the person than telling the actual truth. I have no doubts that eventually he would love to be able to pay all the bills, but he wasn't ready for it. He wasn't ready for the weight of it. How do we know? Because the moment he started paying all the bills, his energy is beginning to shift. Now, she says later on, the emotional intimacy was beginning to die before then. And more than likely, again, I want to know why was his emotional intimacy dying? Why was he not taking out no dates no more? Someone could say maybe he bait and switched you. But here's my other side of this. The reason why, and I've done videos on this, the reason why men stopped taking women on dates when they were taking them out on the dates, take away love bombing. If they weren't love bombing you, the reason why they do that is because they feel emotionally disconnected from you because they don't feel like they're getting anything from you. I'm going to tell you the truth. And stress is often another big one as well. And how does that man, what does that man need from you? He doesn't need you to pay bills. He does not need you to pay bills. He did not need you to go back to work. What he needed from you was appreciation, admiration, affection, and he needed acknowledgement of the role that he's playing. When you don't do those 4 A's, you cut him off at the knees. That's why men will suddenly go from taking you out, doing all those things, they'll remove you. You see, the reward of a man is that when I do all these things, that you treat me like Superman. You treat me like Superman. You look up to me, you appreciate me, you see me, and you hail me. I'm just going to be real with you. The same way the Bible says that Sarah called Abraham Lord. There's a reverence you're meant to give me. But if you just treat me like any man, yeah, you're going to get this kind of energy. I'm cutting it off, blood. Yeah, because what's the point? What's the reward? There is no reward. If you, those of you who watched the interview, where did she say that she said, I supported him all his dreams? Doing what? Just by being there. What did you do? How did you support him? How did you show him love? Let us know. Because everything's about how he disconnected from you, but not telling us the other side, which means you don't pay attention. You went to couples therapy. The couple therapist, what did they tell you? You went to couples therapy. What did the therapist tell you? Now, you don't have to figure it out. The couple therapy was there. What did they tell you? You don't have to tell us what they said to him because you don't want to expose his privateness. That's okay. But what did they tell you? Listen to what
that back. And actually it was before I quit my job. It was already kind of brewing before then. And then I quit my job. And then it was even kind of more so because now I had a lot more free time. And so he works from home. I'm at home. And so I'm like, hang out with me. Let's go do something. Let's go to the gym. Or, like I wanted to spend time with him. And it just, I think it was.
And I know he was probably annoyed at this point as well. You quit your job. I'm going to pay more bills. And you're here telling me spend more time with me. Are you all right? I'm working my socks off, bro. And you're telling me I want to spend more time than we were spending beforehand. Yeah, it's looking like you don't really understand where I'm coming from. It's looking like you don't really understand the pressures I'm under. It's looking like you don't really understand the struggle that I'm dealing with. Facilitate that how? Right? Because now you've got more time. How are you supporting me? Because you've got more time to support me. So how are you supporting me? How are you aiding me in these moments? How are you emotionally feeding me so that I can be more empowered to want to do more? Where is that? Where is that conversation? I know it's not very popular to talk about it from that perspective. You see that a lot of times we talk about how men are trash. I'm here to tell you, listen, a lot of you women, you're just as bad as the men. You don't pay attention. You're not looking at your person. You're not even deep in it. You know how I can say this? Let me tell you how I can say it. I'm telling you that she was not paying any attention to him. I'm telling you this now. I'm telling you, she was not paying any attention to him. Okay? I'm going to show you. I want to see this. Let me see this. I want to see where it is. Where is it? Oh my gosh, where is it? Because she was talking about why he works so hard. Yes, I've got it. Okay, so let me skip past this part quickly. Okay. She wasn't paying any attention to him. I'm telling you. She wasn't paying any attention to him. I'm going to tell you. She wasn't paying any attention to him. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to show you why she wasn't paying any attention to him and how she was so invested in herself that she couldn't focus on him. I'm telling you. Look at this.
I was able to take away. But I do sympathize with the fact that, he did work a lot. And I do think that he wanted to meet me there. He just couldn't get there.
So the leadership, so he lacked the ability to get you guys to.
I think everything with him was surrounded by work. So it was just work. Mm-hmm. I have to be the one to suggest, let's go to church on Sunday. Or I have to be the one to suggest that we do things. And it just never felt like we were in lockstep in totality.
Okay. So what, how did it end? If you don't mind sharing that.
Hold on, before she say that, I want to ask you this, because that's going to go somewhere else. I just want to ask about why do you think he worked so much?
That's good.
I don't know what his ultimate goal is, to be honest, because when I was working, he worked a lot. It's crazy to say, but when we went on a break in July, it didn't really feel like a break because we already weren't sleeping together. Because he worked so much, he would fall asleep on the couch or honestly, some days not sleep at all. So sleeping together was not a norm anyway. So it was just very I don't know. I don't know what his work goals are. I do know that he's an entrepreneur and he really wants to be his own boss.
And when you
don't know because you didn't ask. Because you were thinking about yourself. You were thinking about how you felt You're thinking about how it doesn't work for you. You thought about how if it felt, you know, how it's not going the way you want it to go, because you're thinking about yourself. I'm not saying that she's the only one at fault for the relationship breaking down. I'm saying because you decide to open your mouth and talk about it, I'm going to pull out the parts where you're not talking about. Because oftentimes when we tell these stories, there are going to be a bunch of women, no offense, there are going to be a bunch of women who are going to go into it and be like, yes, you made the right choice, you made this and that, but they're not addressing the key issues here. You did not know why he worked so hard because you never asked, because it wasn't important to you. It wasn't important to you. You mean you sat around the house wanting him to take you out all these times, and you can see the man is working himself into a point where he doesn't even want to sleep in the same bed as you, bro. He's sleeping on the couch. And you're telling me your brain doesn't think to yourself, I need to figure out what does this man do? Why is he working so hard? If my girl was working this hard, I'll be like, girl, I would ask my woman, like, why are you working so hard? What is it you're trying to do? What are you trying to achieve? Why are you stressing yourself so much? Do you see what I'm saying to you? I'd be asking these questions. Because I'd be like, I'm concerned. You're not even coming to bed. What do you mean? You're not coming to bed. You're sleeping on the couch. You're working too late. You're not telling me you're going to be like, wait, hold on a minute. I need to find out what's going on. My man is just working so hard. I need to figure out what's going on. What's going on with him? How can I support him? What do you need from me? You went to the counselor for a year. What did the counselor say to you? The counselor didn't point this out. The counselor did not point out that this man might need a bit more emotional support because he's physically going to be tired because he's doing a lot of the financial lifting. That's cool. No problem at all. It's not out of the blue, my guy. It's not out of the blue. And she'll be surprised. I'm sure you know what? I don't want to say it, but you know what as well too? I'm sure the parents were in his ear as well, man. I'm sure the parents were like, son, this might not be the right kind of girl for you, bro. You're breaking too many rules. You're breaking too many rules. You hear me? So look, my time is up, man. I went on for an hour. I went on for too long, but listen, my thing is, and also the comment that she made about she wanted to be in his skin. I kind of said that earlier on, is an anxious attachment kind of point that she made. So again, this is again what I'm saying to you is, she made the right choice in quitting. But she needs to, getting the right answer does not mean you know how to work it out. So that's the point I want to highlight to you. Getting the right answer does not mean you've got the right working out. And that's really important. Okay? All right? So if she doesn't find out the working out, she's going to make the same mistake again. Or potentially she'll go further in marriage and the marriage will break down later on and she won't know why the marriage broke down. It's because you're not paying attention to the principles of order. And number two, there's some trauma that she's also dealing with. And I'm sure the counselor should have pointed this out to her. So you went to counseling for a whole year and you didn't deep nothing? What was the counselor doing? Or better yet, were you being honest with the counselor? Because how are we in counseling pre this? And nothing really gets met. Nothing that's coming out your mouth tells me that you went to the counseling. Do you get what I'm saying to you? Like, if you coach with me, you know I'm hard with you, bro. Like, whether you're married or single, I will tell you the truth. You're messing up. But hey, look, my time is up, man. My hour's gone. I appreciate you guys. We're gonna talk about this, man. Another time, man. We'll talk about this tomorrow. I'll continue part 2. You get me? If you want to see part 2, drop a little comment in the comment section, man. It's time to go, man. But chai, it's not easy out here. I can tell you that for sure. We're gonna break down some more stuff.